Ever wonder why Bob Marley Group was officially called the Wailing Wailers and not the Wailers? That's because the original Wailers were made up of a group of white Americans from Tacoma, Washington, and they were called the Wailers. And Cox and Dodd didn't want any legal issues with them. Here is their story. Before the world knew the name Wailers in connection with reggae rhythms and Jamaican shores, another band was already making waves under that very same moniker. This was a group from the misty, evergreen-lined streets of Tacoma, Washington. They were a rock and roll outfit, raw and full of youthful energy. Their story begins long before Bob Marley's legendary group ever stepped into a recording studio. The confusion between these two bands, separated by geography and by genre, has persisted for decades. It's a strange twist of fate. One name, two distinct and influential sounds. The original Wailers, the American rock and roll pioneers, unknowingly chose a name that later became globally synonymous with a different musical movement. That mix-up has caused countless moments of mistaken identity for fans digging through record bins or searching online archives. Imagine a teenager in the 1970s looking for the gritty, saxophone-driven sounds of the Northwest, but instead finding the lilting, spiritual reggae of the Caribbean, or a reggae aficionado stumbling upon the garage rock punch of Louie Louie when they expected no woman, no cry. That overlap has shrouded Tacoma's band, making their story urgent to tell. This isn't just about a shared name, it's about parallel histories that rarely intersect but remain linked. The Wailers from Washington helped define a rugged regional sound that rippled through generations of musicians. They were trailblazers, loud, unapologetic, and distinctly American. Their journey deserves to be pulled from the shadows of a more famous namesake. Understanding their origins helps reveal innovation happening in the late 1950s and early 1960s, far from the hubs of New York or Los Angeles. The Tacoma Wailers are a reminder that history isn't a straight line. Names and legacies tangle, creating side stories that enrich the past. For every global icon, dozens of regional heroes laid the groundwork. The Wailers of the Pacific Northwest were architects of a sound and a vital force in rock and roll. Their story is one of originality, regional pride, and a name that would echo through music history in more ways than one. The story of the Wailers begins in 1958 in the working-class city of Tacoma, Washington. It was a time of burgeoning teenage rebellion, and rock and roll was its soundtrack. A group of ambitious high school students came together driven by a shared love for the electrifying sounds of artists like Link Ray Duane, Eddie John Greek, guitar and trumpet Rich Dangle, lead guitar Mark Marush, tenor sax Mike Burke, drums Kent Morrill, piano and vocals. They were young, they were loud, they practiced relentlessly in garages and basements, honing a sound grittier than polished pop. Their early